So, guys, where do we start? How was the season for you?
Well, firstly, let's introduce ourselves. Leroy, Jamal, and I'm Gabriel.
Yep.
The season for me was a complete mishmash of emotions.
Hell yeah.
Up and down, sideways, anger, joy, disillusionment. It was what every Arsenal fan has come to expect in the last few years, I believe.
Of course.
Yeah, like it.
So, starting at the very beginning, under Emery, at the beginning of the season, the club looked lost. The club looked rudderless, ambitionless.
Yep.
With some owner more interested in building some fancy air-conditioned stadium in America, maybe to keep his toupee nice and dry.
Yeah.
But he wasn't interested in this club here in London.
Exactly.
You know, people were wondering what the hell he bought it for.
Yeah.
Maybe just to add it to his portfolio.
Yep.
But under Emery, the start of the season was chaotic. Fans started getting restless. Emery's tenure came to a chaotic end with Xhaka and his antics.
Yeah, the pantomime villain.
Yeah. And from then it just moved on to Freddie, who sort of stabilised us for the short time he was in charge. Then Mikel came in, and from the very moment that man took charge, and I know Arsenal fans all over the world were watching his interview on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I think he struck the right chord, the right tone in what he was saying.
Yeah.
And there was a slight bit of belief. Absolutely. Obviously, the proof would have had to be in the pudding.
Yeah.
You know, words can just be empty gestures, but he proceeded to back up his words with actions.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my view of the season in a quick nutshell.
In a quick snap.
What about you, Jamal? What do you think of it?
I thought, just like you, I thought it's more or less every season, the last, I would say, ever since Kroenke came. That's how I felt. That every season is
the same.
It's not exactly the same. It's the same movie packaged in a, different way. So every season starts.
Be excited.
Yeah.
That was what we were promised.
Yes, so every season is we don't get the right players, or we don't make the right signings, or we get the wrong player for the wrong position, and it's just like you said, it's a mishmash of every season. The start of the season, I had high hopes for Emery because I thought the consensus was that first season was the season that he just, sets his tool out, tries to get through that season to basically, set his foundation.
Yeah.
Right? So that was the thinking. And then the new season, it quickly became apparent that the job was way too big for him. From his communication to the way that he comes across on the screen, to his tactics, to the team sheets, changing. He didn't know what how to use certain players, or the team sheet was like he didn't know his correct team. His team was just, you could not pick his team week after week.
Yeah.
And you saw, and we talked about this, we knew immediately after a couple of months that, his job is on the line. And he was sacked. I don't think anybody felt sorry for him. Did you feel sorry for him, Gabs?
Me?
Yeah.
I don't feel sorry for anybody.
Yeah, you don't feel. Yeah,
You know, I'm the heartless one. No, there was no sympathy for.
So he got
him.
sacked. He's back to Spain. So and Freddie came, who immediately, brought back the good feeling about the club, the goodwill.
Yeah, Freddie was never going to get hammered or coated or slated for anything that he did. He could have lost 4 games on the spot, and people would have said, "We love you, Freddie."
Absolutely,
because you've come in at a difficult time.
So he stabilized the ship, and then Mr. Mr. Arteta came, which he's as soon as he came from the first interview, you just knew that there's a new Don in town.
Sheriff in town.
There's a new sheriff in town.
Yeah.
Right. So he spoke well. He understands the club. I have to be completely honest. I had my reservations because he has no experience. We've seen so many young managers jump at the first big job that they get, and completely. Gary Neville comes to mind,
Yeah.
and completely fail. So it was a breath of fresh air, and immediately he let the players know that this is how he's going to play. These are the players that I included in my plan. I'm sure we'll talk about these players later. And certain players like Ozil were quickly, carted out. So we'll get to the FA Cup, and but my understanding, my feeling about this season has improved a lot since Arteta came. So is that how you feel?
Yeah, how I feel. From Baku, I expected change, and there were some transfers that came through in the summer, Nicolas Pepe, that got me excited, I must admit. Yeah. And I thought that the team would do better in terms of league positioning. Yeah. Obviously, we're a million miles away from challenging from the title. Absolutely. And major honours, but I thought we'd do better. But then along came the mediocre performances, and from Newcastle to Eintracht Frankfurt, Emery's reign, it was poor. We became draw specialists. He would set up a team. Next thing you'd know, we're 2 goals down. And then what we've had to do is come back. And the draws at home weren't good enough. And I mean to Wolves, no disrespect to them because they play well. Southampton was another game. And Palace. And that's unacceptable. Yeah. And it's the manner in which we conceded cheap goals. Yeah. So for Emery, I'm sorry, but your time was up because of... You had to go. Yeah, and you were just Claudio Ranieri 2.0. Mr. Tinkerman.
He became a Tinkerman, didn't he?
You're a Tinkerman. Yeah. And...
Spanish waiter,
I gave him, his, just a lengthy period of time, but we ain't got time. Yeah. Because we've been wasting time for 10 plus years.
That's the new climate now for big clubs.
Exactly.
You have no time now,
Exactly.
There's none of that, give him 4 or 5 years. They want results now.
No.
And they want improvement, like a progress.
Yeah.
You couldn't see that under Emery.
No, I'm sorry.
He came and he had a period where he had that 20-game unbeaten run, but that was just papering
over the cracks.
Because the performances were not of the level that we used to.
Well, everybody got happy, didn't they, after the Fulham game? Everybody's singing, "We've got our Arsenal back," because we slapped Fulham in the sun,
including me. Hands up.
Yeah. But I was impressed with the performance, but I was like, you know what? Let's hold on. Just a minute.
Boy. Whoa.
Yeah, just hold on a minute. The same with Mikel Arteta. Yeah, I'm happy with what he's done.
Yeah.
But let's bide our time and see.
Season started well.
But for me, with Emery, his major flaws were his communication. Mm-hmm. The way he spoke, he became
Mr. Good Evening.
Mr. Good Evening. He became a joke. Once you're a manager and your own fans are taking the piss out of you, then
Players.
Well, the players, I don't know what the players taking the piss out of him.
Rumor has it.
Well, if that's
they were
the
mocking
case,
him.
if that's the case, then
that was for the media. That's for the Twitter and the Instagram to make fun of. But I just think his communication to the players.
I think it was his tinkering.
Pochettino had the same issue. He wasn't speaking English for a certain amount of time.
He got Spurs
but he wasn't
playing a good brand of football.
Yeah. He had the common sense to get a
and he weren't
translator
tinkering.
for a while. He wasn't speaking English, right?
For a period. Pochettino?
Yeah, for a period he wasn't, like, he knew his limitation.
Yeah.
Right.
But it got better.
But he was getting through to players. I don't think Emery was getting through. That's what got him the sack,
once you lose the players, that's
I've seen coaches with worse English. I mean, some that can't speak a word of English that actually, performed and stayed in a job. So that was, the season started well.
Yeah, well,
We got a couple of wins. Newcastle, I think, the interesting thing that the season began and ended the same way with Emerick.
With that man saving our
with
bacon.
That man, yeah.
but we'll talk about that later.
We'll talk about that later. We'll talk about player ratings and we'll talk about.
So
come on, let's go a bit into depth then about the season.
Yeah.
The season really didn't kick off until Mr. Arteta turned up.
Oh, hell yeah.
With his pants pulled over his trousers and his cape flowing behind him to save the day. Save the day for us.
So are we going to start there? We're just going to forget that half ever existed. Is that what's going to happen?
Well, for me, the start of the season, I can't remember it.
Listen, we were draw specialists and we were down in the dumps. We had a player that was, when he got substituted, threw his shirt off and, mocked the fans whilst taking an early shower. And from there,
I thought that was the end of him.
We thought that was the end of many players. So the club was going backwards. We couldn't buy a win. Freddie took over, and that's when I was going to say, with Freddie, kudos to him for trying, his best. The appointment of Arteta, I must admit, at first, I'm going to admit, I wasn't impressed. But then I warmed to the idea that, former captain, and it was the video of his last game for us where the passion was there. And then him coming from a team that was used to winning and are currently successful. And then I thought, just maybe, and this is before he even uttered any words, I said, maybe he might be that guy. He might be. When I heard his first interview, I said, you know what? I'm sold. Because it was his first interview. And I know a lot of people can talk a good game, but it was his first interview that got me.
It's just that X factor. He's got that X factor.
But I think fans were waiting for somebody who spoke a certain way. There was something about the way he spoke that brought into him. When he was talking about his non-negotiables. This club deserves to be back at the top, challenging for top honours. Those things. We've had players at the club that were allowed to just get away with murder under Wenger, got translated, and that behaviour transferred over into Emery.
Of course.
Emery, to his credit, tried to bring Ozil and push Ozil out, but the fans, for some reason, were like, "Oh, he's our most expensive player." Or most expensive. He's our highest paid player. Why isn't he being played? And fast forward now many months, and you can see why he's not being played, because he doesn't bring anything to the party. And I think that was what Arteta. You could see in Arteta, even though Ozil was a teammate of his. There's no favouritisms. If you're not doing the job for me, you are not playing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And if you don't believe in the process, goodbye. And let's get it right.
I don't think he was decisive enough.
Let's get it right.
He took him out, he brought him back in, and then he took him out again. So
that was another thing.
Yeah,
that was another fault of Emery's.
Like certain top managers like Ferguson, Pep, even Wenger, at his height, is that if he doesn't like a certain player, he's gone.
Yeah, that was the fans who pushed Emery to bring in Ozil back. He should have stood his ground.
He should not. That's why you are top class manager.
That's what you're paid for.
The
fans shouldn't influence you. Your decision should be final.
So you get paid. You are a top club. The third most successful club in the country.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, let's just throw that in. Right. Throw that in for those who don't know.
Yeah. So it's not all about
the ones down the lane.
Yeah. So
down the lane.
Down the lane and across the other side of London.
Yeah, so
the blue half.
Yep. For people that believe, the history of football hasn't started in 2003.
No, but we come from South London, don't we? North London imposters.
So, So how do you, going forward, what do you expect from Arteta?
I expect more of the same, to be fair. I expect more once he starts getting his own players in. Yeah. I know we're going on a bit of a side tangent here to the season because we haven't finished with the season review.
Yep.
But I'm expecting more of the same. I'm expecting step-by-step progress. I'm expecting evolution.
All right.
And I'm expecting the club to evolve to take significant steps to move back to where we should be.
Yeah.
So
there's nothing that he's done this season. Yeah, it's his debut season.
Yeah.
And it could all go pear-shaped, but I don't believe it. I don't believe it will go pear-shaped. There's nothing that Arteta's done or said to make me think, this guy's full of it and he's just bluffing his way.
Mm-hmm.
He seems to be a man with a plan and he seems to be implementing it.
Yeah.
And he seems to be holding the board or trying to hold the board to account. I'm sure he took the job and he made his wishes known. Yeah, I'll take the job at Arsenal, but I need you to back me when I ask you to back me.
Yeah.
And the club probably said to him, well, we've got a tight budget. Can you bring youngsters through? He's bringing youngsters through. Now I need some top draw players to supplement them and take the club forward. So I think that's what we will see.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we need to see.
And also, he doesn't seem to be shy of not blatantly calling out the board, but he puts it out there for the fans to see. Unlike Wenger, who used to speak in code language.
Yeah.
And used to send up smoke signals that nobody could understand.
So he's not controversial, not controversial, confrontational, but he knows what to say to communicate.
Yeah, he knows how to communicate with the fans,
right?
The fans. Yeah, what did he say a few weeks ago? We need, I do believe the board are going to back me.
Yeah.
So if they don't back him, there's only one direction the fans are going to be looking.
Exactly.
And it's not Arteta.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Precisely.
Absolutely.
So what do you think of the when Arteta did come in? What did you notice about the way that he transformed the players and the playing style, considering what had just transpired before him and the state of the team and the state of the club as a mass, the fans and the team, or almost like two separate entities?
Well, we knew from the style of play, the mentality in their play. And I think Arteta, one of his goals was to say, you know what? We, as a team, need to get the fans, that 12th man, we need to get them on side. And the only way we're going to do that, our action has to speak louder than our words. When I, went to, some games and I saw that, I was watching certain individuals that I would be scrutinizing and being, very annoyed. Emery, the Emery times. And I would see the shift, like Xhaka. I'd be like watching him and I'd be like, okay, my eyes on you. And what Arteta would be saying from the dugout and where, the positional sense of the players, I noticed that. And what Arteta would be saying to certain players and where they would be to cover their player. Man, I got to say, he's transformed their mentality, because that's what I think. Sorry, before you speak, Jamal.
Sure.
I think we had that weak mentality, and I think
it's a mentality shift.
I think teams knew that, whether they played us home or away. They knew we were weak.
Well, they called us out blatantly. How many teams called us out?
Mr. Deeney?
Yeah, Mr. Championship.
Yeah.
Sorry, Troy.
But they called us out blatantly. And it was a strange shift from the team to go back even further into the history. With Wenger, the team that Wenger built, or the teams that Wenger built, were never soft. So I don't know where he decided that these soft teams that were going to ever win the Premier League. Yeah, we came close, but there was always something just
missing,
lacking.
Yeah.
And it came down to that. Well, for me, watching the team, it just came to that desire to just put that foot in when somebody's taking liberties with one of our players. Vieira would put a foot in, or Bergkamp would put a foot in, Henry would put his foot in.
Yeah, they could
Our
handle
players
themselves.
just became more interested in playing pretty football, rather than doing the dirty side of the game. And then over time, it just became, we're just a pretty team. We're going to pass you to death. And other teams, look, if we get stuck in, this team they're not going to retaliate. And for me, that's what Arsenal has always been known for. If you want to play football with us,
we can play
football.
Fine.
If you want to have a punch up with us, we will have a punch up with you. You decide on the day
what you want to do.
What you want to do.
Yeah.
And we can do this.
Yeah, and we moved so far away from that in the latter years under Wenger that teams would relish coming to the Emirates.
Tiki-taka years,
Yeah, they'd relish. We're going to the Emirates. That's a guaranteed 3 points for us. Especially if we're going away.
Stoke, my goodness. Everyone was rubbing their hands with glee. Fans, manager, players, right. Arsenal's in town, boys. Let's get ready. It was, I was nervous. West Brom, hell, oh my goodness.
Yeah, those away games were never easy. Go back in the day when, we had to go to Leicester, Filbert Street.
Yeah.
That was never an easy game, but the boys knew we're in for a battle. We've got to battle.
Exactly.
To win, we've got to battle.
Perez, Ljungberg, Lauren, Campbell.
Stadium. That was
Bolton.
People used to think Bolton used to
Big
have us up. Bolton never used to. It used to be a tussle.
Yeah.
A proper tussle.
Right, ding dong.
Yeah.
We would just about come out on top.
Yeah. But then,
sorry to cut you. You talked about the mentality shift, but we forgot something more obvious than that, was that there was, for the first time at Arsenal, there's more emphasis on stop conceding goals.
Hell yeah.
Right? Stop conceding silly goals. Yes, we made mistakes. Yes, Luis had his interesting matches at the Etihad and at Anfield. But overall, defensively, we've improved. Offensively, it took some time, but when he came in, there was an emphasis on stop conceding goals. So that's.
I'm going to touch on that.
Yeah.
When I buried my head in the sand, was at Watford away. We were 2-0 up, mind you, and there was 31 shots from a team at that time who was in the bottom half of the table. 31 shots. And that is just ridiculous. So now we've reduced that
I'm trying.
considerably.
Is that the one Mr. Championship squad from the pen spot? Is that?
He may have.
Yeah.
He may have. I know there was a penalty conceded, Louise.
Yeah.
But yes, 31 shots. My goodness.
But that was also down to, for me, you know, we used to have long conversations about the lack of protection in the middle of the park.
Hell yeah.
Teams would just roll through us like anything, you know, at will.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we all know throughout the annals of football, your protective screen in front of your defence has to be as tight as anything. It has to be as tight as a drum.
Yep.
But Arsenal's was like a sieve.
Yeah.
It was like a drain. You know, players.
A sieve. At least there's a little bit of protection.
Teams would just, you know, and there was no protection, and shots and teams would just come through us and take shots at will.
Absolutely.
You know, just open fire, Scotty.
Yeah. Shields are down, Scotty. Fire!
That's what it was like.
Yeah.
And as soon as Arteta's come in, that's the first thing that he's addressed.
Absolutely.
You know, we all know Xhaka has been a bugbear of mine.
Oh, my days.
Many,
and mine as well.
For both of us, or for all three of us.
Well,
you
unanimous in
kind
that.
of like him, Jack. You've kind of tried to
Fanboy.
convert. You've tried to convert me to be a fan of his, and it's not happened. But you know, Arteta came in.
We've lost our patience with him.
But Arteta came in and noticed, you know, look, you can't get up and down the pitch. Many a game, Xhaka would storm, you know, do a barnstorming run up front. The move would break down, and then you'd be watching, and you'd be, where's Xhaka?
Running like a $6 million man.
He's back there,
I
chasing
think,
back in slow motion.
I think
Steve Austin style.
That wasn't even his main problem, just running around. It was that even when he's in position, it's just his tackling is so poor that, you know, teams will just cut through him, right? Because that actually happened in the FA Cup final.
But what Arteta did is Arteta said, stop running forward.
Yeah.
As much.
Yeah, stop running forward as much, because you can't get back. What you do is when somebody goes forward from left back, you fill in at left back.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I started looking at Xhaka in a different light.
Yeah.
And then of late, you know, Xhaka's been, it's like...
He's been intercepting.
He's been intercepting. And for me, that's where, you know, top draw players, you can, you know, great tacklers, but, you know, Maldini never used to make tackles. Maldini was not that he never... His game was more based on reading the games and intercepting.
We got a better example that's closer to us, Gilberto.
Yeah.
Whenever you see, like, you never used to see him on the ground, right? So it
was a rarity.
Yeah. So Edu was exactly the same.
If you can intercept, then you save yourself a lot more. And that for me has been the main transformation. Has been Xhaka and Mustafi have been the main transformations for me.
I think Mustafi.
I think I was reading yesterday that Ceballos is our leading tackler.
Yeah. He had some great stats.
Yeah.
He had some great stats, I must admit. But even he fell off.
Whatever he was eating during the lockdown, you know, it's...
he hit a kind of a plateau during the middle of the season.
Yeah.
I did say I liked him at the start, and then I went right off him. Halfway through the season, I was like, go back to Madrid.
Yeah, he was like a spinning top. He was just like a Beyblade, spinning around like, what are you doing? Just make the pass.
He turned out of traffic, back into traffic.
Yeah.
Oh, it's me again.
But then Arteta's just probably told him, listen, simplify your game, and he's just been phenomenal.
I was concerned for him after like in the Anfield game. I think it was the third game that we played. Where he just could not handle people pressing him, so he would find himself in a corner flag, and he will get he will make weird passes straight into Mane.
But the Premiership is
ruthless.
It's a brutal animal to step into when you're new.
It's unforgiving.
Many a player has been chewed up and spat out.
What I've noticed about him, he's a lot stronger physically. You know, he's a lot more confident.
What the Premiership makes you do is it makes you make your decisions a lot faster.
Sharper.
You know, you've got no time on the ball.
Yeah.
You know, no matter who you're playing. No matter who you're playing, you've got You know, especially once you venture into their half.
Yeah.
In your own half, you may have a bit of time to look up and pick out a pass, but as soon as you step over that halfway line, people are on you, and you've got to make your decisions
Very
rapid,
quick.
and you've got to be accurate. And that's another thing that we were lacking, was the passing accuracy was shocking.
Was shocking.
Especially through the lines from defence into midfield, which then translated into a lack of opportunities for the forwards because there was no balls coming forward.
And if I could say, with Emery, we had no identity. Can you see with Arteta the identity?
Absolutely.
That's the difference. I believe with Emery, I was like confused.
Well, what would you say our identity is then?
For Arteta?
Yeah.
Well, we're not conceding as much. I would say we're
a lot more cynical.
Yes.
We're a lot more cynical. See the way Xhaka got what's his name? Who was that? Who was that guy? I forgot.
Who cares? He got a red card.
Kovacic, yeah. See, that's what Chelsea used to do to us. That's what.
So everybody used to do to us.
Yeah. Costa versus Gabriel, remember?
Yeah.
So many, I remember Alonso elbowing Bellerin in the face. Elbowing the ball and the guy in the net.
Listen, we're here to win the game, innit?
And
so
everyone was
by any means necessary.
it's part of the game, take it. So it's part of the game now, take it, Chelsea. It's so sorry to cut you. Complete your bit about the identity.
No, I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
I would say that with Arteta, we are, there's more pressing in our game. I think. Go.
Can I enter?
Yeah, no, go.
I think with Emery, he also had the pressing, but the difference is
wasn't consistent.
No, it's like we know right now when to press and when to retreat. Mm-hmm. Right. This is why Pep Guardiola got confused. Is that and Klopp, because we were pressing in phases and then back in position, right? So
you said that now or when Emery?
With Arteta.
Okay.
With Arteta, with Emery, it was pressing, but there's no direction, like that. There's no method to the madness. Mm-hmm. So there is no.
And there's a pride in the defense. There's a pride in defending your goal area. There seems, especially the that backs to the wall performance against Man City. That's
and Liverpool.
Yeah. There seems to be a lot more pride taken in defending.
Yeah.
There. You see under Wenger, there was a lot more pride in your attacking.
Yeah.
Defending came second. Now there seems to be a balance between. You have to do both well. You can't have one without the other. You can't just be a great attacking team and conceding loads of goals.
So you see the gradual improvement with the back four, back three, as the season went on with Arteta.
Yeah.
Where Emery, you just see the mistakes. There's no reaction. There's no changes. Luiz is still playing in a back four. So there's it's night and day, honestly. So should we do the play ratings?
We still got time.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
So then, with Arteta now, is he the man from the season? We're still talking about the season.
Yes.
Right? We haven't even got to the FA Cup yet, Jamal.
We haven't even talked to
or the Europa Cup.
So, our league standing, where we finished. Yeah. Do you think we will better that?
100%. Because if you look at the trajectory of the season, when he came in, when Arteta came in, I saw a stat, I think I sent it to you, that Arteta has took more points than Klopp. He took more points than Pep in his first 17, 18 games. So 100%. I think had Arteta had a preseason and started the season, I think we would have an excellent chance at finishing top 4.
I think Gabe's through our discussion.
Because the reason why we're not in top 4 is our back line. You know, we're just hemorrhaging, you know, and up front as well, our strikers, apart from Mr. 14, and apart from Emerick, you know, we haven't been scoring. But I think give Arteta a full season, I think you would see what he can do. I think we would have an excellent chance at top 4.
Okay, so still continuing on with the season's review.
Yeah.
What is Arteta's flaws?
Oh, that's a tough one. Possibly his hair is not as perfect as it once was.
Listen, that's perfect.
It was a lot better.
6 years ago to now, man, still Lego here.
That's a tough question.
What are Arteta's flaws?
Yeah. I think one flaw could be is offensively he couldn't squeeze more shots out of the team up front and more goals. I think that is the one criticism, is that his focus on the back line and the midfield kind of took the attention away from the front three, where like.
But that's not his flaw. Honestly, that's a flaw of the team.
Yes, but we don't get enough shots off. That's a fact. That should come from him. He should be saying that, why are you passing? Shoot. Right? You know, we're mid-table when it comes to taking shots at goal. That could be something to improve next year.
Yeah, but you need better players to do that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
It's not like the chances haven't been there for
the
players to take the shots.
There are far more inferior squads with, you know.
But look, the ball, Xhaka gets in front of goal plenty of times. He doesn't shoot. That's not.
Tell him to
that's
shoot.
not down to Arteta. I'm sure that's not down to Arteta telling him not to shoot.
Yeah. But don't you think he should instruct him to actually shoot?
Possibly.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's his weakness for you?
I don't know. I'll have to think about that. You came with the question, Lee. So what's your
well? That's a curveball.
What's been brought into question is just at times the timing of his substitutions. Now, I like the guy.
Do you have an example?
I like the guy. So you know, it's going to be hard to find faults. It was just a question I put out there because we've got so many superlatives for a man that's been in charge for, 7 to 8 months, and came in, my goodness, at a time when the club was on its knees. But that's the only thing I could say at this moment in time. He's a man still learning on a job. Remember, he's Pep's cone man, as people say. But yeah, he's still learning on the job. And I think we would have to really evaluate him when he's got a whole season under his belt.
Yeah, I can't. I personally, I can't fault him.
Absolutely.
Excuse me, for what he's done this season so far. I can't think of any flaws that have stood out to me. Yeah. Everything from his communication. I was thinking earlier, what I do and what I think a lot of fans have found very heartening is his active involvement in the match from the sidelines, from where we were used to Wenger just sitting down with his pipe, struggling with his zip, struggling with all sorts of opening his water bottle on the sidelines, to having a manager who's actually up and instructing players and encouraging players during the match. I find it refreshing.
Hell yeah.
I think Emery should get a shout for that as well. I think he was more animated when he came in.
Yeah, true. We'll give him that. But then
it was more comical rather than...
What was baffling was when we had a defensive situation, say a corner, and then he'll get his number 2 to, orchestrate and organise. And that was a bit confusing.
Defensive coach, right?
Defensive coach.
Yeah. Defensive coordinator. Just get a whole new team come on the pitch for the defending.
Yeah.
Like they're doing.
Guys, come off, yeah.
Yeah.
Come off. All right, defence, come on.
It was ludicrous.
It was ludicrous, man.
But Arteta, he's conversing with different players in their language, which again is phenomenal.
Yeah.
There's no issues with getting your point of view across to a player because you can tell him straight in his own language.
Yeah.
So that for me is just a phenomenal asset. He's been a breath of fresh air that's been a long time coming.
Yeah. So let's not get
FA Cup. We haven't.
This is what I'm getting on to.
Yes.
I'm just concluding. So what I was going to conclude with is we're not getting carried away because we are aware that we finished 8th. So we're not getting carried away. Oh, the Messiah has come. We finished 8th. But we did finish on a high. And this is when I was going to introduce that cup, that piece of silverware that we won. I must admit, it's taken me a whole week to come back down to earth, for my feet to touch the ground.
Yes.
That is... What cup is it?
I think how many...
The FA Challenge Cup.
I do believe so.
The FA Challenge, how many
Is
times?
it the FA Challenge? Is that the official title for it?
I don't know, but I know
I think you watched...
it's a prestigious trophy.
How many times you watched the final?
How many times have I watched that game? I've watched it about
14 times?
4 times.
Yeah,
Okay.
me
4 or
too.
5 times.
Me too.
Excellent.
Stressful match to watch. Very stressful match to watch.
Yeah.
The pressure was immense.
Yeah. I've never seen so many confident Chelsea fans. They thought they're just going to...
Baku again.
It's Baku again. We smashed them before. It was that kind of mentality. But I was quietly confident. I don't know why, but
You called it.
weeks...
I said as well.
You
Yeah.
called it.
The weeks...
I'll hold my hand up.
The weeks prior to the final, I was quietly confident because I can see the improvements in the team game by game, and which culminated in that, that Liverpool game. That's when I saw, I said, "Hey, something's happening here," right?
Yeah, Jamal, you did call a lot of games. A
You
lot
did.
of games where I was a doubting Thomas.
Of course.
Yeah.
Me too.
And
Yeah.
Jamal
Me
was
too,
like,
man.
no, we're going to win.
Yeah.
No, we're going to win. I was like, really?
And
No,
you,
we're going to
you
win.
were predicting, but you predicted the scores.
And you even called it 2-1. I had to take a
Yeah.
screenshot and send it to Lee. That
Yeah.
Jamal called it 2-1.
2-1. I saw
Yeah,
it
man.
2-1. But
So if you want your lottery numbers, there's the man.
I should have put some money down. But yeah, so
But you know what happens when you put money down? It all goes pear-shaped, doesn't
Exactly.
So how do you saw that final from the go?
it? Having watching it the first time, very stressful, but watching it the second and third time, like everybody said, Chelsea came out pretty quick. We took our time getting into the game, but after that, once we found our footing and got our rhythm, I think they had injuries, but
Hey ho.
injuries happen. Nobody cries for us when we have injuries going into big games or during games. So shit happens. And I thought ultimately we deserved to win it.
Absolutely. And we had the first chance. We had the first chance, but they started fast. I agree with you. But what impressed me was we had problems with Pulisic and Mount and Giroud just operating, like finding holes in us.
I like Pulisic. I like Mount.
Very good players.
I like to see what becomes of them.
Yeah.
I think Pulisic is going to be a player, man.
Pulisic is a terrific player. But
He surprised me how old he is.
Arteta reacted, right?
Of course, yeah.
You know, plug those gaps. You know, he told Xhaka and Ceballos to, you know, don't leave those holes, right? And targeted who? As Biliqueta, because he saw that he had a major issue with pace, and how old is he now? He's not a spring chicken, and we exposed their right hand side. So, I think what impressed me again is his reading of the game. Arteta is an elite reader of the game, right? We haven't had that with Emery. You know, we haven't had that in the latter years of Wenger, where he wasn't reacting; he was just repeating the same old.
Wenger's answer to a problem was more forwards.
75 minutes.
Yeah. Who would have thought? I know you're not a big fan of Niles, but you know, he used him correctly.
I couldn't believe how he's put him on the left and how efficient he was on the left-hand side.
And nullified the threat.
Yeah.
And how quick he was.
So that just shows that
he's deceptively quick. No maintenance allows.
The thing is what impressed me was that his distribution is better.
But he's always had that in his
really,
game.
Distribution.
Niles.
Maitland-Niles has had distribution and he's deceptively quick.
He was. I remember that first game against Newcastle. I think he set up Aubameyang for a terrific pass.
Yeah, because he intercepted.
But there was a middle few months where he was just, you know,
that was Emery time.
His delivery was garbage.
Yeah, for me, Ainsley's passing is sloppy at the best of times. But that's a lot of players at Arsenal whose passing is haphazard.
Yeah,
you know, that's when you look at the top teams. You look at Liverpool and Manchester City. Their passing is not haphazard.
Of course.
Their passing is accurate and to the feet. Arsenal's passing, you watch it,
it could go wayward.
We just give the ball away cheaply at times for absolutely no reason.
Yeah,
and it's like, how are you playing at Arsenal Football Club and you're just giving away a ball just like that?
Bread and butter passes.
That was the key thing about the final. So both teams did not take care of the ball. You know, it was like a classic Premier League, almost 90s match where have the ball, take the ball, have the ball. Like there was no flow in the game. But I agree with you. I think, you know, the way that certain players, Tierney at the back, how about that? Right? So he put him in a back three, and he's just, you know.
Yeah, well,
quality.
My view, my take on it is what I noticed, and to go back to your question earlier on in the show, is that once we went a goal down, our heads never dropped. Yeah. And that was key for me.
Yeah.
Our heads did not drop. I
was quietly confident.
And a lot of people said, oh, you know, Chelsea were all over us. It took us 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I didn't see that. I did not see that. I saw us still trying to go at them. You know, like if the pressure's incessant, like Man City and Liverpool, incessant wave and wave of attack. I didn't see that.
No.
And from, let's say, the 5th minute, when we conceded, after we conceded a goal, we went at them.
Yeah.
We went at them. Pepe, from kickoff, came with a shot instantly. And then you just saw us just grow into the game. And in the past, we would be 2-0 down, 3-0 down. No, seriously.
Yeah. We conceded a second.
We would have conceded, but it was their mentality, for me, that really won us that game. Their mentality was brilliant. It was excellent in that game. And then Arteta made slight adjustments, slight tweaks. And that, for me, game done.
Yeah.
So impressed.
Hector Bellerin, you know, got
mentality.
Got his pace back. It
was mentality. We're a goal down, so what? It's 0-0. Sunday league talk.
Yeah.
0-0, lads.
0-0.
Yeah, no.
Does that talk ever work?
No, it
In
doesn't.
the back of your head, you still know we're 3-0 down.
There's no.
Exactly. We're 4-0 down, but it's 0-0. 0-0, lads.
Yeah.
Keep going.
From the school of get stuck in.
But yeah, I
Get
thought
rid.
it was such an important match for both managers to win their first trophy. For years and years, I've been saying, you know, especially when Arsene Wenger developed his next squad, and we got to the Carling Cup final
Against Chelsea.
against Chelsea,
yes.
and that was such a vital game for us to win,
Absolutely, that
to
was talking
cement a trophy for those players and say you're good enough to win trophies.
Especially the young players.
Yeah, the young players, and you know, it didn't work out. It went Chelsea's way, and Chelsea just continued hoovering up trophies.
Yeah.
You know, this for me is always, especially for a new manager. You look at any new manager that comes into a club, they want to win their trophy as soon as possible, even if it is, you know, your fourth-rate trophy. Or your fourth tier trophy, not fourth rate, your fourth tier trophy in terms of the Carling Cup. If you get to that final, win it. Don't put out a young squad. Put out your strongest squad and win that trophy, and then that gives you a building block for something else.
Yeah.
But you know, for me, the nervousness came from us wanting Arteta to get that trophy.
Absolutely, because
I was a bag of
trophy
nerves.
Because
in the bag, and then nobody can say anything to you again.
Again.
You know,
Take note, those down the lane.
Oh, not even the Lily Whites.
Yeah.
You know, any team who they're out there saying, "Oh, well, will Arsenal win anything other than the FA Cup?" You know, most teams would
And
love
we're celebrating that we won the Champions League.
Yeah, they'd love to get their hands on the FA Cup.
Exactly.
So let's have it right. You know, it's not a 2-bob cup like some people are trying to make. It's only a 2-bob cup because Arsenal have won it.
Exactly.
You know, if somebody else had won it, they'd be jumping up and down like we were.
Jose Mourinho, Pep Guardiola, they play their best team for every cup,
Exactly.
including the Carling Cup.
Exactly, and that was a fatal flaw in Wenger's latter years when he was getting to finals. He
disrespected.
He didn't take them as seriously.
Yeah.
He had his hierarchy of trophies, and the FA Cup and the Carling Cup were.
Yeah, he saw those cups to develop his young players, which was
And how did that work out? With those developments,
it worked out with Jose Mourinho trophies, you know.
Yeah,
you know. So yeah, it's.
I'm chuffed. Arteta's got his trophy in the bag. He's he looked well chuffed, and when he walked into the changing room and he was banging it, dang, 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 and he was like, "Whoa," and all the players were waiting for him and they were jumping around.
Goosebumps.
I was like, that's a man whose players have 100% bought into what he's sold them.
Of course.
Yeah, the whole talk before the game was when Frank Lampard, is this the game where Frank Lampard gets his trophy, rather than, you know, there's another guy who came after him.
Yeah, but it's that usual disrespectful sports media talk.
Yeah.
You know, there was no favourites in that final. There's no favourites in any final. You know, history has shown us that. You know, it's every final for me is a 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because you could be the best team in the world. You might not play on the day.
Yeah. Wigan, Man City, Liverpool, Wimbledon.
Exactly. So
Coventry, Tottenham.
I just take everything as a 50-50, especially when it's a final. Anything can happen. You know, Arsenal with Luton.
Yeah.
Way back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.